Welcome back. As of Tuesday, I will be here for 2 weeks now, which is wild to think. Part of me feels like I just got here, the other part of me feels like I've lived here forever. It's a crazy mix. This week I have 2 stories for you. First story. So upon coming here, one of the things I knew I wanted to do was sing in a choir. So the program director, Sylvie, helped connect me with a couple choir options. So I chose this choir, which is called Chorale Josquin du Pré. And this choir meets in downtown Poitiers in the very old quarter of town in this ancient building. The choir's been around for years and years and years. I'm not exactly sure how many years it's been around, but it's so old. And last Thursday I went and did a little voice test, sang with the choir, and it was delightful. The choir is going to be singing some Christmas songs for this winter, so that's what our set is. But the interesting thing is, all of the songs that we rehearsed this last week were English. And so the words that we're singing, it's not exactly how I would say them as an American English speaker. We're singing English with sort of a French accent. Well, for me, it's like a French accent. And so that's really interesting. So for example, words like music is musique, and this is zis. And so it won't be quite like singing in an English choir, even if we are singing English songs. The other interesting thing about the choir is that it's been around for a while, and part of why I wanted to do it was because when my mom studied here in Poitiers, she was part of a choir too, and so I was describing it to her, and I was like, so where was the choir that you went to? And she kind of describes where in town it was, and I'm just going, okay, do you remember the name of it? She didn't remember the name, and so then I asked, well, maybe is it called the Chorale Josquin du Pré? And she said, yes, that's the choir I did. So I'm singing in the same choir that my mom sang in 26 years ago, back in the 90s. And there are people in this choir who have been singing in it for 30 plus years. As in, I'm singing with some of the same people that my mom sang with when she studied here. That's crazy. But talk about things coming full circle. It's wild. The other story is the other night at dinner, our family is just hanging out. We had ravioli for dinner this night, and my host brother Etienne, I think you're going to be hearing about Etienne a lot in my vlog. I'm just like making a prediction like right now. But he serves himself a ton of ravioli. It's like piling over his plate, and like he's a small kid. Like, I mean, he's obviously growing, but I'm like, all right, I don't think you can eat that much. So I tell him, je pense que c'est impossible que tu peux manger ça. I think it's impossible that you can eat that. I basically said in French. And so then we kind of made a bet, and it's like, all right, what are we going to give each other if, I lose? If he doesn't eat all of it, he has to do something. If he eats all of it, I have to do something. So then I'm like, okay, whoever loses has to do a dance for the family. And I always set myself up for situations like this. Like, I don't know why I ever feel like, I have to do some crazy thing. I clearly set myself up for this. So of course he finishes his ravioli, and I'm sitting there like, oh no, now I have to do a dance for my host family. As much as I love dancing, like spontaneous dancing, in front of a family that's not like super like woo dancing, it's like a little weird. Fortunately, even though I lost the bet, Etienne was very gracious and said he would dance with me. Then he goes to get his iPod to play some music, and I'm kind of waiting, what's he gonna pick? And then he picks, of course, Despacito. And so in their like little kitchen, we just did a little spontaneous dance performance, some interpretive, and then to finish off our dance, the thing that really topped it off was a particular dance move. Maybe you've heard of it. It's called Hitting the Folks, and it kind of, if you're not familiar with it, it's kind of an action where you go, and Isaac's gonna make fun of me because that probably wasn't very good. Anyway, I taught Etienne this dance move last week just for fun, and then of course we finished off our dance routine by hitting the folks. That's all I have for you this week. Over the weekend I went to La Rochelle, and so I'll post a couple of pictures from that. That was really nice, but nothing too wild happened worth telling a story about. But you can see some pretty pictures of the beautiful beach town. Thanks for staying tuned, and we'll see you next week. Yeah!